Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are doing well today. And sorry if the audio is just a little bit muffled, but I've got some very important things to convey today. And in order to convey them properly, the only way to do it is to break out some accessories. So, this might be the most important video I've ever made on this channel. This might be the most important message I've ever tried to get across to you guys because, quite frankly, the last couple of months of Seahawks football have been very disturbing to me. And I think that with where we sit right now, there's only one option forward. There's only really one thing that we can do to make this better, to make this right, to fix this. We need to bring back Pete Carroll as the head coach and director of personnel of the Seattle Seahawks. I I know that sounds extreme. I know some people are going to be like, how can you possibly do that? How can you possibly do something like that a couple months into a brand new regime with all these new coaches we've hired, with having all your previous coaches scattering around? I know it's extreme. I know that it would be hard to do, but I think one of the most important skills in life is the ability to admit when you've made a mistake, and it's become very clear over the last couple months the Seahawks have made a very grave mistake, and the only way to fix it, and you got to do it now. You can't wait. You can't wait so much as another day because there might be some other team that's lurking in the wings to maybe try to make something happen with Pete Carroll. You got to hire him back today. You got to just purge all the coaches. You got to bring back Pete Carroll. You got to let him bring all of his guys in, and if you don't do it now, like today, it could be disastrous. The impact of that non-action could be a complete disaster, so I'm advocating for it to be done right now. And I think that if you look at the things that have been done with this organization over the last couple of months, it becomes clear why this needs to happen. I think it's very obvious that this needs to happen, but let's spend some time talking about it. Let's spend some time trying to understand exactly where the team is going wrong here. I mean, just for starters, fundamentally, you look at what Mike Macdonald has said so far, what he's preached so far, and you look at the defense. If you really go back and look at the defense that he put together with the Baltimore Ravens, it's based largely off of deception, theatricality, misdirection, misleading the offense, and just on some fundamental level, I think that running your team in a way designed to mislead and misdirect opponents is it's not the example we want to set for our children, right? That's not the way we want to teach people to be. We want to teach our kids to be transparent and honest at all times and straightforward. Tell people what you're going to do and then do that thing that you said you were going to do. That's a very important lesson. I think that's in the Bible somewhere. So the fact that we have this new coach coming in with a plan to implement defensive strategies that involve tricking the offense into thinking you're going to do one thing and then doing another, like that's just not the example I want to set as an organization. So I want to bring back the transparency of Pete Carroll and his defense just to set a better example for all our children. In fact, the thought of having a defense that actually tries to fool opposing offenses and mislead them is kind of disgusting the more you think about it. If I had known that Mike Macdonald's defense was going to be about a concept like that, I certainly wouldn't have supported the hire. So you've got that going on here. You look back at free agency, right? This was a big one. You look back at our free agency period. So many of our guys were allowed to leave. So many of our guys that were free agents went to other teams, right? DJ Dallas left. Colby Parkinson left. Some of the guys that we released, guys like Will Dissly, not brought back on a different deal. He was allowed to leave. Evan Brown allowed to leave. So many of these guys who are very clearly our guys who have done so much in service for this organization. You just cannot be that disloyal in this league. You need to keep those guys around until their legs fall off. And the fact that this team saw it fit to let them go elsewhere does further make me question their ability to be transparent and honest about things. It's very low character stuff, letting those guys go to other teams. If we had Pete Carroll here, I am sure that guys like Will Dissly and Colby Parkinson and DJ Dallas would have been retained. Evan Brown would have been retained. We certainly would have done things differently than we're doing them now, and it would have been far more comfortable. It would have been far more familiar. People who bought jerseys of those players wouldn't feel like they had gotten ripped off, which that's obviously a big consideration here. You can't have people who buy jerseys feeling like they made a mistake. That makes people feel bad. That makes people feel like they wasted money. You gotta enable the jersey buyers, right? Especially when it comes to guys like Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Both those guys are gone and presumably not coming back. They're still free agents, but both those guys were under contract and they were released by the Seahawks. And first of all, that's just fundamentally dishonest and sneaky of us to let players go when they're still under contract. They signed a contract for X number of years. When you let them go before that X number of years passes, you're basically, you're stealing from them, right? There's something very wrong about a franchise philosophy that involves letting underperforming players go. You signed the contract, you should honor the complete and full amount of the contract no matter what. But especially when it comes to guys like Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams, who have been a foundational piece for a defense that is ranked 25th in the league 2 years in a row, letting those guys go is just, I can't even really describe it. It's just absolutely bizarre. So I'm looking at the decision making of this organization so far without Pete Carroll at the helm, and it just confuses me and boggles the mind. And I think the only way to fix it is to fire Mike Macdonald and reinstall Pete Carroll. He's still in the organization, so it wouldn't be that hard. So just go ahead and do it now before more damage can be done. I mean, we have a draft in less than 4 weeks here, and we simply have too many picks. When you really look at it, we've got too many draft picks, and that's another sign that Mr. McDonald just isn't getting it done here. I know he's not head of personnel, but he could always go punch John in the face until John does what he wants him to do, and he's not doing that, which shows a real lack of initiative and desire on his part, I think, as well. That's another layer of this. But we would have definitely traded our first round pick this year and probably next year for a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr., or maybe we would have gone after one of the other franchise tagged guys. There are other guys who are still on a tag right now who you could trade for if you wanted to, but it's just not happening yet. And it really confuses us as to why, because those draft picks, you have no idea what you're getting with those guys, right? There's a reason why they're so cheap. It's because they suck. They're not good. So you want to trade as many of those picks as possible for veterans who you know are going to be good. You know what they're going to do, right? That's why they're going to cost like ridiculous amounts of money. That's why you have to pay those guys so much, because they're so good. And that's so much better than trying to build through the draft. So we have too many picks, which invites way too much confusion and uncertainty, and it's just bad. It's just bad to have so many draft picks as a team. We need to put together some trades to bring in veterans, and Pete Carroll is clearly the guy to do that. So I could go on. There are more things going on with this team that I think are um, painting a very clear picture here. But yeah, the Seattle Seahawks need to move on from the error, not era. You heard me right. Error that is Mike Macdonald, and bring back Pete Carroll, because at the end of the day, the bottom line here is that Pete Carroll has won both a Super Bowl championship as a head coach and a college football national championship as a head coach. And Mike Macdonald has not done that. In fact, if we can't bring back Pete Carroll, like maybe his feelings are still hurt and he won't come back, I'd like to see us go after somebody like a Barry Switzer, somebody who has actually done that. That would be a nice consolation prize if we can't get Pete back. Jimmy Johnson's still alive. I know he's working with the Cowboys right now, but he could easily be pulled away. He's another guy who's done that. So that would be my list if Pete Carroll can't come back. But we need to move on from this Mike Macdonald thing very quickly. Like every single day that goes by where Mike Macdonald is the head coach of this team is very clearly causing irreparable damage. So yeah, rehire Pete Carroll ASAP, give him personnel control, let him fix this, and let's see where things sit in a couple of months here. So let me know what you guys think about all this. I know what I'm proposing is radical. I know that it's going to be confusing to some people, but I really do value the ability of anybody to admit they made a mistake and work to mitigate that mistake. And admitting you made a mistake is not necessarily enough. You need to then take action to repair the mistake. So if the Seattle Seahawks could do the right thing here, do what clearly needs to be done, and rehire Pete Carroll as head coach today, we'd be in better hands. All right, I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. I know this video is going to be controversial, but some stuff has to be said. All right, more videos coming soon, but this is, again, this may be the most important video I've ever done. We need to bring back Pete Carroll now.